While the Vols don't need NIL like they used to, let me start with George McIntyre. He was offered a scholarship and not $8 million like Nico was. You had to do that to get Nico to change the overall feel and trend of the program, but you didn't have to do that with George McIntyre, and you're not going to have to do that with incoming high school players moving forward. Much. You're going to have to promise them enough to be comfortable, but you're not going to have to give them $8 million. That's just not going to happen. And why? A couple of reasons. I mentioned Tennessee's culture. I've mentioned that Tennessee has facilities, but as Caleb has pointed out, doesn't everybody in the top 25 or so have about the same facilities? Probably. There might be an elite one or two there at Alabama or Oregon for different reasons. But now, how about player development? How big of a factor is that? Darnell Wright, Byron Young get selected to the Pro Football Writers Association all-rookie team. Tennessee and Alabama are the only two schools with two all-rookie NFL players. By the way, there's a guy named Hendon Hooker who, if something happens, could be leading a team into the Super Bowl. But there are enough guys right now, especially with Wright and Young, that Josh Heupel can point to that, like the Saban discount, and say, I can get you to the NFL. Why are you worried about NIL? Caleb, I think that's huge, man. I really do.
It is. It is very huge. Now, here's where there's a difference between Josh Heupel and Nick Saban. I don't think with Josh Heupel, it will be an across-the-board thing. I think it didn't matter the position you played. You could have been a long snapper, and you go play for Nick Saban, and you think you got a shot at the NFL, right?
Yes.
And yeah, it's not going to be that way with Josh Heupel. You will always have to use NIL to get defensive backs at Tennessee. You just will, as long as Josh Heupel's there. You'll always need NIL to get. There's a few other positions where you have to need NIL to get certain players, but actually defensive back is the biggest one where you'll need NIL, no matter what, because of the way this team is structured. However, what Josh Heupel can...
But let's be clear. I'm not saying like in a super elite guy, yeah, you might have to divvy out cash, but 99% of the guys, I'm just talking about a living wage.
What I'm getting at is...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're not going to take a Heupel discount if they're searching for NIL to play defensive back.
Well, then they can get to stepping. I mean that. Listen, if you don't see Tennessee for the culture that they have, and if you don't see Tennessee for the potential that they have, and the fact that they're now producing NFL players, then get to stepping. That's what Nick Saban would say. That's what Nick Saban would say. Hold on. Let me finish. That's what Nick Saban would have said. That is what I guarantee you Kirby Smart would say. So get to stepping. Is there a once every 3 years guy that you feel like you got to have, that you got to match money with? Maybe, but I'd rather have that money to go get transfers and to keep my guys like Cooper Mays and all the guys that stayed on campus. So listen, if you don't like it and you don't think Tennessee's good enough for you without NIL cash, get to stepping.
Okay, okay. If NIL's not a factor, Tennessee has never been able to, and never will be able to have the level of talent that Alabama had with Nick Saban, or that Georgia's getting under Kirby Smart, or that LSU had in the 2019 team, or that the Miami teams got in the 80s and the early 90s. Ever. Their peak in that type of talent was the 90s. And it was impressive in the 90s. Don't get me wrong. It was very impressive. Wasn't what Georgia's been doing the last 2 years, though. Not even close. Okay, so let me put that out there. Defensive backs, what I'm saying is this. The Heupel discount comes for edge rushers. Byron Young is who we bring up. Heupel discount comes for edge rushers. Byron Young is who we mentioned. I already said they're becoming edge rusher because you're going to have a chance to shine playing in Heupel's system because of the defensive scheme they run. So James Pierce is about to do it. Jordan Ross. You're about to see a Heupel discount for edge rushers. I think you're already seeing it. And Dave, you probably know, you're more tied into the program than me. I think you're already seeing it at receiver, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you are seeing the Heupel discount at receiver.
And quarterback.
You are seeing the Heupel discount at quarterback. And I think Darnell Wright's a big deal because I think you're going to start getting a Heupel discount at offensive line too.
especially tackle.
Yes, exactly. So I do think you are going to get a Heupel discount at tackle, quarterback, receiver, edge rusher. You might get one start going forward. I mean, it's possible you get one at running back. I mean, there's other positions you'll get it. I don't think it's position. It's a case by case basis. It's not like Nick Saban. There is not a scenario in the future of Tennessee under Josh Heupel where a defensive back will look better than he is playing for Tennessee. That's not going to happen. You will always look worse than you are playing for Tennessee as a defensive back. Always.
I am talking across the board. Colton says Martinez discount. Talking about Willie Martinez, the defensive backs coach.
I'm sorry, I almost went up my calling for real here.
Yeah, he should probably offer them some of that money back. I still wouldn't be surprised if there's a change after signing day. Just FYI, that's why you need to watch the whole show and not just the clips, because we'll offer you some insight. So don't be surprised if that happens. But I'm talking across the board. I think NIL changes and adapts in the coming years. I don't think you're going to be bidding on players as often from high school in general, whether it was Nick Saban, whether it's a new guy in Caleb DeBoer building it at Alabama, whether it's the new guy that Washington hires or whoever. I don't think you're going to be bidding on those guys as often. There may be a special quarterback now and again, but I think the money's going to be spent for keeping your players. I said this in the get. It will all work itself out. I am a capitalist. I'm a free market society guy, and I'm telling you, it's working itself out. So the guys like Keenan Pili, Cooper, and I know Keenan Pili hasn't played a lot, but Cooper, the guys like Cooper that have proven they can do it at the collegiate level are going to take that NIL money across the board. So if somebody wants to step in and they have to build a program by spending $8 million on a Nico, do it. Do it. I get it. That's what you got to do. But you don't have to do it forever. And if you continue to have success recruiting high school like that, then you're not going to have success as a head coach. You better be able to offer something. Because if you continue to gamble, Tennessee either did a perfect job of evaluating Nico from what I've been told and how he's played. And that was going back to last year in practice. They either did a perfect job of evaluating the young man or they got lucky. And a little bit is luck. You could show up on campus because the limited contact you have now between coaches and prospects and be a bust. He could have. He didn't. What if they had $8 million tied to a guy who's not nearly as good and the Merklinger guy suddenly is putting Nico on the bench? You're not going to be able to take those gambles and those risks over and over and over. The money's going to be for transfers and your current players. The market is settling. I'm watching it.
Dave, you just brought up a great point, though, and I never thought about it. Look, my theory still stands on where Tennessee's going to have to spend the NIL money, even in the transfer portal. In the transfer portal, they're going to have to spend it on defensive backs. Okay, but here's something I just thought of. You know what's going to happen? It's going to be a cycle. It's going to be borderline impossible to have a long-term dynasty in college football in the near future, isn't it? The way Alabama did. And here's why I want to bring that up. You're right. Once you reach that level of Alabama or Georgia, they're going to spend their money in the portal, right? They're not going to spend it on they're not going to gamble on prospects. Right?
Right. Okay.
You know who will gamble on prospects?
Who?
Programs that are being built, that coaches are trying to build.
Exactly.
And so what's going to happen? Those coaches that are trying to build, those programs are going to start having the better recruiting classes, but not the better portal classes.
Exactly. Okay, so let's take Hugh Freeze, for instance. Hugh Freeze, year number 1. I bet he's overspent on high school prospects in the portal, and I bet he doesn't care because he can tell them to get the heck out of Dodge if they don't play well. But
or you can order some hookers for him and get him in trouble that way.
That's true. And we're not going to call it the brothel. My wife denied that. I think we're going to call it Hooks Hangout, maybe. We're working on that, a way for you to win great prizes. But that's for another day. I like Hooks Hangout. Do you like that, Caleb? We're workshopping that.
Only if Ed Orgeron can do a promo for it. Come to Hooks Hangout.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can do a good enough impression. All right, So Hugh Freeze's, where is Hugh Freeze's class ranked right now? Let's go ahead and pull that up. Which of these classes could be overly inflated from the high school level because guys are spending money at the high school level. Listen, if I'm Josh Heupel, I say ask anybody. Ask the Cooper Mays guy. Ask Nico would be a bad example. Ask anybody that's proven it, and they'll tell you you're going to get paid at Tennessee if you prove it. I don't have to make you a promise that you're going to get paid, and you don't have to make me a promise that you're going to be a great player, because the proof is in the pudding. It is going to happen. So I think the days of paying big time dollars to high school prospects are over.
Unless they're not.
You're right. Unless it's a program that's trying to rebuild. So which of those programs would that be? That would be Auburn. And where are they now? They are number 8. Now you're telling me, and I got a lot of respect for Hugh Freeze's recruiting ability. Okay, not the man. All right, okay, but you're telling me that Auburn suddenly, without overpaying high school prospects, is 8th best in the nation? Bull. I don't believe that. I think they overpaid high school prospects, and it could create an issue just like it did at A&M. Let's get your retort on that. It's brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Use the promo code HOOKED. That's HOOKED. Go to hemphousechatwith2ts.com, hemphousechatwith2ts.com. In other words, Caleb, I think that Josh Heupel has weathered the new coach storm. I think that's in the rear view.
No, I'm with you on that, because what you're going to get, here's what's going to happen. You're building a program. You need to open the NIL checkbook for high school recruits. You've built a program. You open the NIL checkbook to keep your players and to add portal players. And then you sell what you've done to say, take a discount to come play for me because I will get you to the pros. I will get you your money. I agree with that. All I said to you, Dave, is like I said, there's no discount. If you're a defensive back and you're taking an NIL discount, you never take it. I would, if my kid is a defensive back in 18 years and Josh Heupel is still coaching, I'm telling my kid, don't take an NIL discount for Tennessee, because you are literally hurting your future as a defensive back who's a elite prospect to go play at Tennessee. The system makes you look worse than you are. Can you at least give me that? The system that Tennessee runs makes defensive backs look way worse than they are.
Totally agree.
Yes. So you don't take an NIL discount to go play for Tennessee if you're a defensive back. You take it to go play for Kirby Smart. You take it to go play for Nick Saban back when he was there. But you don't take it to go play for Tennessee. But wide receiver, yeah, you'll look better than you are as a wide receiver. And take an NIL. Go play. Look, I'm going to say it. You should go play for Tennessee for free if you were a wide receiver or an edge rusher. Because you're
still getting a scholarship, by the way.
You're still getting a scholarship. And if you're worth your salt, you will be a first-round NFL draft pick and have some guaranteed money coming out because of.
I think Tennessee is past the growing pains of having to rely on NIL. I truly believe that, and so we've got some Hooker's Place might be a good one for the new group in which you can win prizes.
I still like Hooker's Hangout better than
Hooks Hangout. Yeah. All right, that's good.
Hooker House. Hooker House.
Yeah, I think that's called a brothel. Everybody, and Travis says everybody's going to call it the brothel, but you're going to have an opportunity to win great stuff as part of this, and we're going to have some
Vols deep in the Hooker House.
That's exactly the reference that my wife made that she didn't want us to become. So thank you for doing that. I'll get to hear about that a little bit later.
Freeze will accidentally show up. That's true.
No, I mean, I think Tennessee's at that point, and they should be, and you should be very happy about it, because it's not sustainable to go out and pay $8 million. Now, if Jordan Ross or James Pierce, if they want $100,000, okay, fine. If they want $250,000, okay, fine. That's like you and me picking up a round of beers, Caleb. I'm fine with that, but to heck with these 7-digit payouts. That's just not going to happen anymore.